one thing he spoke about, or I think, what did you call it? Shyness.
Our sons say.
Oh, well, I wanted to ask a question. No, maybe I was shy. I wanted to ask that. Okay, you talked about the destroyal of ozone layer, and I personally have heard about that. The emitting of what's it called, gas, smoke, and all that can destroy the ozone layer. So I wanted to ask: do I now have to abort my my mission of buying the car? Because so I actually wanted to, I hope, to buy one. So I'll be reading from one of my debut, actually, my first material titled Book Values. So, but before I start reading from it, I want to quickly open our eyes to something very neglected in this country. In 2009, Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie spoke about danger of a single story in a TED talk. Now, what this actually means, referring to a stereotypical view of a particular group of people or a society. For example, the white man sees Africans as monkeys. Are we truly monkeys? No. No. So I think that mindset actually led to John Keats writing about Africans as people who have no heads, having their eyes and mouth in their breast. So referring to us as barbarians. But it is now ironical that let's look at, because I'm a literary man, let's look at the Nobel Prize in Literature. Okay, we now have a lot of Africans. There is this man, I've forgotten the name, Ghana.
Abdrazak.
Yes, Abdrazak. So he just got it. He's also an African. So I wonder how we are monkeys in their words. So the single story also is a syndrome that has already eaten up into the fabric of our very nation. So we now look at some people and say, oh, these people, they are dangerous, they are bullies, so we should have nothing to do with them. Whereas these people, some of them have already sacrificed even the better parts of their lives. So I have, through my life, I have had experience with the military and different forces. So, but I want to use the military as the archetype, as the example. When we look at that area, people will say, oh, soldiers, they are bullies. In fact, they march too much on our fundamental rights. You know, so they brutalize civilians. And then that has led to a kind of single story. We now see soldiers as demons. Meanwhile, even one of us could give birth to a soldier in the future. So does that mean that when you give birth to your innocent child and it chooses to be a soldier to fight for his country, it becomes a beast? So, for example, one of my friends, in 2015, we had a group chat on Facebook. He was getting clear omens that he was going to die. A soldier, Muiwa, he served in the 341 MNHQ, JTF. So, and the guy was speaking to me about it. We had about 5-minute chat in 2015. Then the omens were very clear, glaring. But I was advising him, then get out of the army. He actually happened to be the only child of his parents. But this guy chose to stay. And if I'm to quote him, he said, many are leaving. If I leave, then who is going to defend the country? So this is the true voice of a soldier who has not even brutalized anyone. At least the guy we grew up together I knew him, even when he joined the army. He came home, and then he was even attacked at a particular place in this Ibadan. And even as the guys were, beating him, slapping him, he did not even disclose his identity, and he did not do anything. He only tried to call them to order and say, no, come, you have made a mistake. You have misunderstood me. This is what I mean. So, and then when they realized that he was a soldier, they were begging, and I said, no, I'm not for that. I am stronger than you. If I try to beat you now, people will carry it and say, no, soldiers are brutalizing. So, with this experience and other friends, we tried NDA together in 2013. They thought they were lucky to have been chosen. But later, some of them realized that it was not truly a good luck. Because among them now, I think two who are still alive. So some of them are already dead. So this particular book is addressing that area. In this book, I have tried to create a protagonist who is a soldier, a true one, defending the country. And through around other ramifications, the COVID-19, love life, education, and all of that. So I'd like to read the dedication to shed more light on this. This work is dedicated to all friends of mine with whom I grew up, watching one another's back, but who have genuinely paid the supreme price for their nation and roaming now behind the walls of ages. To the ones who thought they were lucky to have been chosen in 2013 at NDA, but later realized it was not really a good luck. To Muiwa and the last conversation we had in 2015, it is dedicated to my parents, my heroes, to my two elder brothers, Wale Adekola and Bayo Adekola, for their unending love. To my lovely younger siblings, Taiwo and Kenny Adekola, this is for you, dedicated to the commemoration of the memory of my paternal grandmother, Yalate. To my Buraola for not giving up on me, also to Mrs. Akinyemi, nurturer indeed, to Professor Ademola da Silva for his surprising humility and exemplary works that spur much creativity. To Mami Atiruju, dedicated to Dr. Efunwale and his wife for their persistent cause. Also to Ghostime and Kenny, my amiable guys, for critically reading every piece of mine. To Edith Priscilla Onyobok for all her encouraging words. It is dedicated to everyone who is ambitious and all other persons I may not have been able to mention. Above all, to God, the ever-loving Father. So I'll read from chapter 4 of this one, where, okay, let me read.
So is it prose? What type of writing?
It's a prose.
Okay.
It's a prose. So Buffalo is my first writing, and it's a prose. So I'll read from chapter 3 through to chapter 4, if there is enough time. Since the rebels thought they could overpower and dislodge us completely, we gave them a hot repel that betrayed their thoughts. This time we fought more tactically. Every soldier played his role. We showed them that it meant what it meant to be called soldiers. It was a very hot engagement we did them. They could not withstand it. They started retreating and fleeing like a child, running from a fierce dog. This was when we realized we had actually been in trouble. We all ceased fire, looking confused with mouth agape. We were simply dumbfounded and stationary. No one knew what to say. The creatures on their own, in their giant size, tall, hefty, and rough-faced, with what could be described as boys, were gnashing their teeth and laughing savagely. They had killed a number of terrorists from the rear. Who the fuck are these ones? A soldier lamented in a subsided tone, nearly unconsciously. Another also in his native tongue, Hausa, muttered, Inda Jahana Suke Wadana, where the hell are these ones from? Some others whispered in Yoruba, some in Igbo, and others, everyone swearing under high trepidation. I took a scrutiny of these bizarre entities from their heads downwards to a sudden grip of fear. Then a sudden grip of fear hit me. They were cyclops, having one eye, like Polyphemus, a descendant of Poseidon of the ancient Greece. We all swung into action when Major Muji made the first bull's eye, a shot to the head. Then they also started coming at us, and the argument began. These creatures could only be killed with shots in their foreheads, in their single eyes, and they could take up to 3 bullets insane before falling. How strange. This is creating a scene where the soldiers actually realized that they had been in a confused fight. Even after chasing the terrorists, then they realized that there were some strange creatures in the bush. Now, this capability of theirs afforded them the opportunity of almost overwhelming us. We had to use jagged knives and bayonets on them in close quarters. It was brutal, but they fled when they could no longer stand our strong will. Some died, while some others were brutally wounded. As for me, I suffered a scorching pain in my ribs as a result of a punch of one of the creatures, so I became weak, holding my ribs passionately. This time, my friend placed me on a stretcher and did some physiotherapy massage to find whether it was broken or not, and also to find the location of the dislodge. I cried out during the course, likewise other soldiers who were wounded. After a while, I was given some chips and fried meat to eat. Then he administered some drugs. I felt relaxed and slept off for a while, but the time I woke up, energy had found me. It was towards the evening. Men had started cracking jokes and gradually emitting laughter again after the horrible loss of men. I remembered the colonel, the fallen heroes, and then the strongest creature I had ever seen. Those ones, those groans sounded dreadfully like a lion's roar. I want to, I think because of the time, I'd like to look at this particular area. Okay, Foxtrot 2410 Alpha 1, Azare on phone. We need air support at a kilometer to the north of our position. We are getting pinned, not clear, no soldier holding the ground. We also need an evacuation 30 seconds after the shelling. The Foxtrot yielded. Roger that, sir. All these talks were done with yelling due to the rat-a-tat of heavy guns, and that was destructively deafening. But the voice of Foxtrot was cool and calm. The CO, after the call, then yelled, "Men, take cover." As he said this, he held his right index finger up and rotated it in a terrific precision, showing how fast men should move. In a few minutes, the gunship and cannons arrived. Of course, the insurgents were gravely shelled. After that, the evacuation choppers. Everyone excitedly shouted as the terrorists were shelled, and then "go, go, go" filled the air. It was a default culture. Soldiers would order already moving bodies. This was to hasten all towards the evacuation. Now, something happened here that shows the true character of a soldier. The sniper observed from the high ground immediately to join in the evacuation, and everyone was moving steadily while shooting their way through. Suddenly, a soldier shouted, "RPG!" 2 rockets whistled out and hit 2 choppers at a time, and got both our men already in and those around them dead instantly. I looked up and took out those RPG men who were taking their stand from a 2-man trench, but other pilots flew off, claiming that they could not stay because the battle was still too hot. We all grievously pounced on the terrorists and made ruckus and fierce firing. The colonel, that's the commander, the colonel suddenly pushed me out of my position, and I realized it was to save me from an enemy coming for my 6. That lunatic at my back was also fast. He shot the colonel in the belly. It was a close range. As I saw my dutiful officer fall to the ground, I became brutally furious and opened rapid fire on the insurgent in his head with a yell in my mouth. I scattered the whole head so that even his neck formed spiky shapes. I then turned to my colleague. I dropped my rifle and unfastened his fragmented jacket immediately and put pressure on the wound. Yet I could not press down the belly too much. He was bleeding, spitting blood as he was trying to speak, but it was horrible that he was still smiling. I started weeping profusely and smiling too at the time, even though it was difficult. I kept calling out medic intermittently, but my voice was not loud, for I was also sobbing. My voice had turned weak, hoarse, and inaudible through emotion. The colonel signaled me not to call any doctor. He painfully brought out a golden locket from his pocket and said to me, "Make sure you get home, boy. Find my wife and give her this. Tell her I died. I did my best, but I had died a valiant death alongside my brothers." As he was speaking, he could not help spitting blood in my face, so I had to be closing my eyes repeatedly. He smiled again, then groaned and removed his hand gloves. Then he stretched out his right hand, and I held it tightly with both hands. His breathing was rapid now. I placed one hand as pressure on the wound, but suddenly he groaned and gave up. I cried aloud, almost my heart out, and called medic thrice with my weak voice, but suddenly I got the strength, and I shouted, "Medic!" The soldier came to me, felt the colonel on the neck, and realized he was dead. He pulled the dog tag loose and started pulling me, shouting, "Soldier, let's go." But I did not want to leave. I held the corpse tightly. Periodically, the soldier would stop to shoot and then start pulling me again. When I got myself back, I stood up to noticing it was John, my friend. I picked up my rifle and started building the graveyard. After a while, we had to back off into the forest since the terrorists seemed multiplying and our CO had been killed. I had known immediately that there was a man I would always remember, a man who sacrificed his own life for mine, a man who had grown through the ranks of the army to the level of a colonel, one who also had kids and wife expecting him at home, but could still smile in the face of death. That man died shortly and horribly, but he chose to die happy. Colonel Adekola, 1 Brigade, Virginia Barracks, Sokoto, for the man.